Have you seen people on foam rollers and lacrosse balls here at the club before they stretch and they get into their workout? Today I want to tell you why people are doing that and what we think is sort of the best approach to pre-exercise warm-up here at Charles River Park Health Club. Hi, I'm Mike Bento, the head trainer here at Charles River Park Health Club. Today I want to talk to you about foam rolling, stretching, and then activation, which is sort of the pre-exercise warm-up series that we like to get everybody we work with here to do prior to whatever they're going to do, whether it's cardiovascular exercise, strength training, a group fitness class. The reason being is foam rolling has been shown to improve flexibility in the short term. It also preps muscles for stretching so that after you do foam rolling, you're actually a little bit more flexible than you were prior to doing it, and also your muscles are more receptive to any stretching. So what we like to try to get people to do is to foam roll first, and that includes using the foam roller or a lacrosse ball, or even like one of the roller stick. Basically just do some muscle work prior to stretching. And that, as I said, it gets muscles more prepared to stretch. So after the foam rolling, you go into your stretching, and after the stretching, we try to activate muscles that might be a little underactive. And we're gonna go through that series to show you how that works. We might pick, I think we're gonna pick a common area like quads and hip flexors, which are usually pretty tight on people that sit all day. And we'll show you sort of what the procedure for that would be, give you some ideas of what you can do prior to your workout. So I've got here some various tools that you can use to do what we kind of use, we call broadly foam rolling. But this is a foam roller. It's basically a 3-foot long piece of closed cell foam. It's a little bit firm, kind of a broad surface. This is one of the most common tools you'll see for doing the foam rolling work, or some people call it self-myofascial release. This is something along the lines of what they call a Theracane. It's got these little knobbly things on it that you can put onto muscles and exert pressure. Really good for shoulders and some upper body muscles. Regular old lacrosse ball. Some people use tennis balls. For certain things you could use a golf ball. But basically this is we have a bunch of these here. This is really good for a little bit more pinpoint work than the roller is good for. And then this is just a roller stick, which is really good if you just didn't want to get on the floor, but you wanted to do work on, say, quads, or you can also work on arms and things like that. So, but what I'm going to show you today is a situation with, so if you sit all day and you tend to have tight hip flexors, what we want to try to do with that situation is get the hip flexors to be a little bit more loose and then activate the glutes, because what happens when you have tight hip flexors typically is these sort of dominate your hip and it makes your glutes weaker functionally. So what we're going to try to do is loosen these up and calm them down and then wake up the glutes. So the process would be, get on your foam roller, and what you want to look for is a spot that feels tender as you put pressure on it. Once you get there, so I've got a little bit of a spot right there, what I want to try to do is just settle on that point for about 30 seconds up to a minute, sometimes even a minute and a half. Just give it nice steady pressure, continue to do deep breathing, try to relax that muscle. What you'll feel is after usually about a half a minute or so, it'll start to sort of feel better. The tenderness will subside a little bit. There's different ways of doing this. I usually recommend this as a first step rather than actually rolling back and forth on it. That can work, but I think sometimes pinning the tender spot and getting that to relax is easier to do initially. You just have to identify one spot and give it a chance to do its thing. So once this is done, so I'm actually starting to feel that release a little bit, what you'd want to do from there is go from your roll to a stretch. And a good hip flexor stretch or a quad stretch is this half kneeling position. So if you get into this position, you want to be really tall from your knee through your hip to your shoulder to your ear. Brace up your abdomen a little bit. Take this hip, push it forward just slightly, and then you can either hold that for 30 seconds, traditional static stretch, or you can even do like a cyclical kind of approach where you hold it for about 4 or 5 seconds, release the stretch, come come back into it again, and repeat that 5 or 6 times. And then once you've stretched out both sides, you go into your activation exercise, which for the glutes, a good one is just a simple bridge on the floor. So you set up, knees bent, try to push through your heels to really get the glutes to activate. Push up, get to a nice straight line if you can, from your knees all the way down to your shoulders, and lower slowly. Sometimes one set of 10 is enough to get activation in muscles, but you may have to do a couple sets of 10 or even a set of 15 or so. I'm just going to do a few of them for demonstration, but that's the process we like to follow. You can do that for all kinds of different muscles. The best way to know what you need to do is to have a trainer look at your movement and try to identify where you're tight, where you're weak, where you may have some imbalances, and then they can give you a whole series of foam rolling, stretching, and activation exercises to follow. That kind of is the rundown. That's probably why you see people on rollers, because all the trainers here really like to use that as a tool prior to workout to get people sort of tuned up, their bodies tuned up before they go and put them to work on a bike, on a treadmill, under a weight bar, just anything that they're going to do. So it's sort of like, I like to use the analogy of like tuning up a race car before you put it on the track. So that's our process.